like if you trade Jack Eichel, and we prognosticated about this before the trade, right? It's either got to be like high picks, like really high picks, or blue chip star prospects.
Yeah.
And when we say blue chip stars prospects, we're talking Bo and Byron.
Exactly.
We're
talking a top 10
top 2 defensemen or a top line center.
Correct.
And Krebs might not be that. I know his comparison to the draft was Ryan O'Reilly. That's what got me excited.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's your peak, if Ryan O'Reilly's your peak, like the absolute highest attainable player you can get, a guy who's only going to get 65 points a year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
You know?
And he's a cup winner, and I think they'd be thrilled if Krebs is O'Reilly. They'd be thrilled. But that's best case scenario. I think that's best case scenario. I don't know. I look at Krebs and I don't see a dynamic standout quality.
Mm-hmm.
Except he's got a great character. He's got a great motor. I think he's
two-way game
for the culture in Buffalo, which I think is going to be just as important as anything.
Yeah,
this is a great step.
Yeah,
I'm wildly interested in the Cousins-Krebs connection because you're going back to the WHL draft in 2019, all that kind of stuff. I love that about it. World Junior connection as well. But you know, that's maybe where Buffalo's failing is not getting that blue chip. Which, you know.
And lots of people would argue, as much as you liked Alex Tuck, for a guy who, you just saw him in the playoffs, for a guy who watched Vegas all regular season, Alex Tuck was a third-line player all year.
Sure.
He was, yeah. You can't deny it.
Yeah.
So in a small vacuum in the playoffs, was he great? Sure. He was elevated to the top line in the playoffs, yes. But throughout the whole year, he was a third line guy who had a great motor. He was a good energy guy.
Yeah.
Like he's like Zach Hyman.
Right. Right.
Alex Tuck is like Zach Hyman,
which is extremely valuable.
Yeah. But again, is it Eichel worthy in a trade?
No.
You're getting Zach Hyman. You're getting at his best Ryan O'Reilly, and what
a first, and it's likely going to be what, like a
25th or whatever,
25.
So I agree with you. Buffalo didn't get what they wanted, but it sounds like it was all they could get.
And that being said, it's not a bad return. Like I don't want to mix up and say it's a bad return. It's a fairly decent return. And then it just kind of makes you wonder, couldn't you have done this a little earlier? Like that's what kind of bugs people, and I totally get that. But what I want to turn to is the Buffalo Sabres outlook in general. And I'm very passionate about this particular fact.
We can talk about the Sabres, the Knights, and the Calgary.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so Buffalo's now got, obviously, Krebs marinating. They sent him right to the AHL, which I think was a fantastic move. The Buffalo Sabres themselves are now starting to plummet like we thought they would. They're coming back down to earth after that great start. But I want to highlight my boy Jack Quinn here. I got to take this right on the chest and say, I called this guy as soon as they drafted him. He's going to be a great player. This guy is basically leading the AHL in goal scoring and points. He's got 16 points in 11 games, which is fantastic. It translates to an excellent NHL projection. The best thing about, and I'm watching all the highlights, he looks like what he did in his draft year. Like people have kept saying, is this guy a one-hit wonder? His rookie year in the OHL wasn't anything to sniff at, and he was playing. The big news was, he's second line behind Rossi. He's facing second defenseman pairings. Like, we don't know what this guy is, late bloomer. Guess what, guys? He's at the professional level, lighting up the AHL at the age of 20. Like, he's arrived, he's legit. The release is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've sent you some clips. And
I've seen the clips.
It's amazing, and what I love about this is, he's a guy who's developing his confidence. He's working on his craft. He's the #1 guy down in Rochester, which I think is fantastic. It's exactly where he's taking it. Buffalo is finally taking the Detroit page of development, and they're using it on their players now.
Wow.
Case in point was Krebs. Another point. This is a massive, massive deal. This is extremely rare. You draft Owen Power first overall, right? Big, brawny defenseman. Probably can step into the NHL right away. You allow him to take his time at NCAA. When does that happen with first overall picks? It's almost never happened in the last decade. Almost never happened. We let this guy go back to NCAA to play on a stacked University of Michigan team. He's got 18 points in 12 games. Last year, do you know how many points he had last year in total as the #1 overall pick defenseman in the NCAA? Total points.
18.
16. He's already passed it. He's already passed his fucking last year's total. This was the absolute right move for the guy. There was tons of doubters at the draft. Oh, this guy. Some people had him at 7. This is absolutely not a consensus pick. Owen Power looks like the real deal. Jack Quinn's the real deal. Peyton Krebs, we've got a long history there.
We love Cousins.
We love Cousins. He's heating up too. Actually,
Is Dahlin a no-show? Is he done or what?
So that's a great point, because if anyone is challenging Laugh for most disappointing first overall pick, it's Dahlin.
Yeah.
Dahlin had that great rookie year, and now he looks like a lost sheep out there.
Yeah.
It's a problem. Like, this is Buffalo's new biggest problem.
Yeah.
Eichel's gone now. You have to look at Dahlin, and Buffalo fans are already ready to give up on the kid, which is terrible to say. This was supposed to be the Nicholas Lindstrom of defensemen, and he looked like it for 1 year.
Yeah.
It's a troubling situation, but
They still got the middle stack kid, is that right?
they have middle
So he was
staff.
rushed, but he's back developing, right?
He was rushed.
Where's he now? In Rochester or Buffalo?
No, he's in Buffalo. He's a top 6 center right now in Buffalo.
Well, he was highly touted too. Don't forget about that.
He was highly touted. He was rushed, and he was out of the high school system. He was out of the American high school system. So he was certainly rushed. And you know what? I just think that Buffalo needs to bottom out for another year, but just hold on tight and know good things are around the corner.
Yeah.
They're still scoring goals. Like, the culture, you can tell there's a bit more of a zip in the air.
The coach is good.
The coach is good. Everyone's just sort
Ray
of.
Ferraro's brother-in-law, by the way.
Is he really?
Mhm.
I had no idea.
Mhm.
I had no idea. But they're exciting. It's a team well within my radar. And I think they're just going to be fantastic. I think what you need the key here is keep the kids down in the AHL. As much as it's going to be painful for the fans, because you want to sell tickets. Let's be honest, ownership is right up against it. You need to sell tickets.